I want to start my analysis of the debates by saying there are a lot of things that can be debated about tonight's debates. A lot of things we could toss back and forth. A lot of different opinions we can have because we all come in with a form of bias about our candidates and also a distaste for certain other candidates. So all that's in the mix, sort of like already in the cake, you know what I mean? It's in the cake batter. But that being said, I have to say, based on what I've already been hearing, that there is a concerted push, man, to make Pete Buttigieg be a thing. And I'm telling you this as someone like look, I watched this thing. And if I thought Pete killed it, had an exceptional night, I tell you, I'd say, guys, we need to go out to New Hampshire. We need to go out to Carolina. We need to get geared up. Pete is dangerous. We need to fight him. Oh, because Mayor Pete is so dangerous. But, guys, I'm telling you, I don't hear that. That is not what I'm getting. That's not what I saw tonight. There is no way that if you are an honest actor, if you are just looking at these debates, that you know, guys, there was one part of the debate, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but there was one part of this debate where Pete Buttigieg was embarrassed, probably on par with the worst embarrassments we've ever seen in the debates this cycle. And still, with being embarrassed, he not only lied once, he lied 2 times, and then attempted to lie a 3rd time. The questioner had to redirect. And then, all of a sudden, oh yeah, he remembers it differently. And the people that are judging this debate totally overlooked it as if nothing happened, as if their eyes and their ears did not witness what their eyes and their ears witnessed. So let me start from the top, guys. I got 3 sheets of paper here. We take copious notes. We also tweet during the broadcast. Follow me at Real Tim Black on Facebook and on Twitter. It's interesting, okay? Interesting. One of the first things I noticed about the debate as we was getting all set up is that Andrew Yang walked out on that stage. Man, he needed some Shaft music playing behind him. Sock it to me, sock it to me, sock it to me. He walked out there without a care in the world. Just as relaxed and nonchalant and ready to go. And I was impressed with the level of swag that Andrew Yang possessed. It just spoke to me. It's like, wow. Andrew Yang is really loosey-goosey up there on the stage, and I hope it carries over into the debates because he's going to need it. He's going to need it. I heard that the Yang Gang did some restructuring over the last couple of days because the numbers that they pulled out of Iowa were a lot less than inspiring. They weren't so swaggadocious. He's not the only one. Biden. Biden had a lot riding on this debate as well. More than Andrew Yang. I mean, Andrew Yang is overperforming. The fact that he's in the debates, he already won, Johnson. And I know for Yang supporters, you don't want to hear that, but from where I sit, from someone who's been covering politics this cycle, last cycle, really since 2014, but I really started getting involved in 2015. I got to tell you, man, Andrew Yang has already exceeded so many expectations. This is just gravy. What you're experiencing now is a cigar and a glass of wine after the main event. You understand what I'm saying? Like you already did it. Yeah? But Joe Biden is in no such comfortable situation. Joe Biden's entire candidacy rides on what he does tonight because there has never, ever, ever been a candidate who went on to win the nomination who didn't come in 1 or 2 in Iowa and New Hampshire. It has never happened. And I know there are people out there that say, Joe Biden is the most electable. Joe Biden is amazing. All the blacks love Joe Biden. You know what black people don't love? A loser. Okay? And that goes not only for blacks. I got a feeling Latinos don't like losers, Asians, Native Americans, all white people. Nobody loves a stinking loser. And you know what? No, one thing I know that transcends race, people don't like putting money on losers either. So it's going to be very hard for Joe Biden to get money from anybody other than delusional billionaires and multimillionaires going to give to his campaign, okay? So everything's riding on Joe Biden. He came in 4th in Iowa. Pretty soon, this Jedi mind trick thing you got going on with susceptible black people over the age of 50 and, I don't know, blue states or in Carolina, so you tell me. Pretty soon that's going to start to wear off, man. Yeah, because coming in 4th, we may not know too much about the Electoral College, but we know the 4th place is not a winner. So that being said, Joe Biden, his back was up against it. Another person whose back was up against it was Amy Klobuchar, because, see, Amy Klobuchar, she came in 5th. And when you come in 5th, that's not good. I mean, unless we're talking vodka, whiskey, or rum. Get it? Those are the only types of 5ths I want you showing up with. If you show up with a 5th for anything else, it's not good. I can't think of a single solitary thing where being in 5th place is a good thing. So that's where we were. Someone else who had a lot riding on tonight was Elizabeth Warren. I guess it would be easy to tell you who didn't have anything riding on anything. I think that Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg, based on their performances in Iowa, regardless of how you feel about it, I'm not a Buttigieg fan, but the numbers don't lie. The numbers do lie, actually. That's a horrible thing to say, isn't it? How can I say this? Whether we like Pete or not, he placed highly in Iowa, right? Okay, so this was not as important to Pete. Not as important. But in a way it was. It was, look, I know this kind of sounds complicated. It's like double speak, but let me put it this way. I feel that no longer Mayor, but Mayor Pete, his thing was to show that he actually deserves to be considered a front runner. Okay? That's what this was tonight for him. A little bit different. This is psychological for Pete. In the minds of voters, is Pete really a contender? Forget the niceties. You want to feel good. You supported the guy who's got a male wife, fine, or a male companion or whatever. This is new for our politics. That feels good. Feels like the country's moving forward. I understand it. That's natural to people to feel that way. This is like breaking another barrier in the world for some reason. Like this is something, the same way we felt about Obama. There are people that feel the same way about Mayor Pete. The same way people look at Andrew Yang and they say, look at Andrew Yang. First Asian man really competing for the Democratic nomination. These are important to those people who look at this and see, hey, man, the country's moving forward. Not just one viable woman running, but multiple viable women running for the nomination. These are all big things, but here's the deal. Is Pete truly a front runner? I don't think anybody ever felt that Elizabeth Warren was not in contention for front runner status. She fell off, but she was there. She was there, okay? And Hillary had already been there, so it's not like it's a new thing. So anyway, back to this, man. I'm looking at this entire thing, and I'm saying, overall, what I'm expecting is Joe Biden has to come out and have a performance of his life. He cannot come out flat. He cannot come out skipping the beat, leaving his car keys, running in the ignition while he in the house in the bathtub. Like, he cannot do these things. He has to actually come out and perform and be quick to it and be aggressive and stay on topic. He cannot meander down the street. He can't be down at the grocery store when he's supposed to be over here hanging out the laundry. He needs to be on one point. Make that point, stick the landing, shut it up, and let the moderator continue the conversation. Joe Biden couldn't do it, man. He could not do it. Now, we could go tit for tat over every question, over every situation where he failed to do that, which was necessary for him. But in the Medicare for all conversation, which is basically getting old, I mean, it's beyond old at this point. Bernie Sanders comes up with reasons why Medicare for all makes sense. Joe Biden says a bunch of same old talking points about cost. You won't tell us how much it's going to cost. He never brings up the fact we pay more than anybody already. That part escapes him. So it's always the same talking points. And then Buttigieg, he falls in, and Klobuchar, they all fall in. So they're all anti-getting Medicare for all. They're all anti-universal health care. Great place for Bernie to be against these guys. This is good. But does Biden really make a cogent argument why we should not have it? No, because it's not an argument you really can make. Doesn't make sense. He never really explains why other countries should have it and why we shouldn't. Well, we got to, everybody else got a Christmas tree, but we're not going to have a Christmas tree because Christmas is for losers. That type of thing. It doesn't make, when we don't celebrate Christmas. And I grew up not celebrating Christmas, by the way. But the point is, we had a reason. We're in a cult-like religion. That's what the reason. And I was a kid. I didn't have a choice. I wanted Christmas. I just could not. I wasn't running things. Which may be the same reason why we don't have Medicare for all. I digress, guys. The point is, Joe Biden did not impress me tonight, and it was necessary for him to impress. Bernie Sanders basically said that Joe's plan for Medicare for all, his form of health care reform, is a big fat waste of money. And then, of course, Klobuchar followed up with, we're going to be pushing 10 million people off of health care or whatever. And people clap when she says it. These are people who have the best coverage in the world and don't need better coverage. Or these are the people who aren't sick yet. Because that's typically when you find out how bad your coverage really is, when you go to use it. That's when you find out. So all the people clapping, yay, Amy's right, are the same people that would have clapped. We can't free the slaves. Why not? Well, we're going to have 1 million black people unemployed. We don't want to add to unemployment. Yeah, but they'll be free. This is the logic of Klobuchar supporters. There was one part of this that, I don't know, I tweeted about it and I didn't get much response from it. It was really weird because in the middle of an answer to a question that was kind of important about Medicare for all, could have been about trade, I forget what it was about. Elizabeth Warren, who is obviously a woman, stops and says, and I like saying this part. Oh, I like saying this part. In her presidency. Then she paused for people to clap. This is the most cringy, self-aggrandizing, grandstanding BS actions a presidential candidate can prompt in a debate is, let me pause. Let me say something that's gratuitous that really makes no point at all, just so people can clap and people can feel, I don't know what it is. It's like a mercy clap, and it was horrible. Elizabeth Warren, I don't know you. We've never met. We've never taken a selfie. And really, you haven't taken any selfies either. What you've taken are portraits. When people take the phone from you and take a picture of you with other people, that's called a portrait. It's just a picture. But anyway, the point is this. I don't know you. We've never done whatever that is that you call yourself doing. But I know that you're a woman. And we know that you're in her. And you know that I'm a him or a he. And we don't need to talk about these things. We obviously see it. What I would love for you to do, is to prove to me that anything that you say you're going to fight for up there, because you love talking about being a fighter, that you're actually going to fight for it, tooth and nail, go down with this ship fighting for it. Not fight for it as long as it's comfortable. Not fight for it as long as it's more popular. Not fight for it until somebody like Mayor Pete says something and you can't answer his question and you just backtrack totally with your tail between your legs. No, we mean fight for it and stick with it. Because we already understand that you're a woman. That's not why I would vote for you. And that's not how you're going to win the nomination if you were to win it. You would not win it because you're a woman. You would win it because you have the best ideas, or because you convinced people, or because you're going to make their lives better and they believe in you. They trust you. You're a leader. These are the reasons why. That and you raise a whole lot of money and you spent a whole lot of money, because that's our system. Our system sucks. It's disappointing more people didn't have a problem with it. But, you know, a lot of people that follow me on Twitter, some of those people are, you know. I haven't mentioned this guy's name yet, have I? Steyer, pants on fire. You know, Steyer is not, he's not a pushover. In fact, I found myself a couple of times tonight going, wow. I know there's no black people on the stage, but Steyer's closer to black than Kamala and Corey and Joe Biden put together. I mean, I was impressed at his level of concern about the blacks. Yeah, Steyer, he mentioned blacks in the first hour, the second hour. And in fact, they had a question, they had a section. You know, they bring us up when they start talking about jail and shit. You know, that's what black people matter. We need to talk about mass incarceration. Oh, we got to mention the blacks. But Steyer was bringing this up in other contexts, you know, like economics, things of that nature. And to that, I was kind of impressed. Yeah, interesting stuff. You know, Buttigieg, like I said, he had a lot on the line when it comes to the psychology because of him doing well in Iowa, whether manufactured or whether he actually did well, Johnson. But there were things he did tonight that took away from that. He says, we're going to win because we're going to put up someone from a middle-class family who's able to unify the country. He was talking about himself. You know, Pete, there are things about you that aren't very unifying. Your hands look like cups because they're always begging for big money. You know, this is not good. This is not a unifying principle. I know your people in your bubble, the Democratic elitist bubble, they make you believe that these are good things, that all Americans just go, oh, what the hell? But there are a lot of Americans who know that money is rotting our politics. It's not making our politics better. So you suggesting that you are a unifier, I don't even know how you're a unifier, with what people? Oh, because you get disaffected white liberals who don't need government to function for them to have a decent life, because they're already doing very well, and other whites who are a little bit older who are also doing pretty well. Get the running thread. Most of the people that support you are pretty much the same person. Just some of them believe in same-sex marriage and others believe in same-sex marriage. And war. Can't forget the war part. Because Mayor Pete and Joe Biden showed their asses when they came to war tonight. When that conversation came up, man, they were very clearly some warmongering sons. They have no problem taking Americans to war. In fact, they seem like they enjoy it or would enjoy it. Now, there were points where Andrew Yang did pretty well. There was a part where he talked about how, you know his usual spiel. We need to focus on the problems that got us Donald Trump, not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is just a symptom, and the things that we've been saying in the independent media circles for, I don't know, since Donald Trump got elected. It's like it's always amazing to me. There are some of us, right, and who have been talking about this stuff since 2015. You know who they are if you watch this show. And if you're in the community, you already know. I don't want to name names because some of those people, we're not friends right now. But we've been talking about this, and we've been on each other's show, and we've been on tours together. We've all pretty much been saying the same things about Donald Trump. And then all of a sudden, a couple politicians lean into our communities, hear a couple of words, and then all of a sudden now, everyone goes, yeah, that guy's got something. We've been saying that you can't just run a campaign on Trump bad, Trump evil Trump, and think you're going to win. And we've been saying that the country was screwed up. I had a joke I've been telling since like 2016 that we had these Democrats who pretended that the world was great. Everything was fine. We were all skipping, holding hands. Black guy, white guy, Asian guy, Latino guy, gay guy, straight guy, Native American guy. Everybody holding hands. Trans person in a line, looking up in a blue sky. And then came Trump. And then the sky turned dark, and dogs and puppies were raining from the sky on fire, and squirrels were shooting each other on the corners, and hail was pouring down along with a strange wintry mix of saliva and the bullets, and intestines were throwing, and there was a big gust of wind blowing around used underwear that wasn't cleaned, and all these things happened because Trump came. We've been saying that forever, that these people are delusional. But all of a sudden now, when politicians say it, it's like they're saying something great. No. All they did was eavesdrop on independent media, man. That's all you bastards did, all of you. All of you. All you did is eavesdrop on us having these conversations. So I'm sorry if I don't give a bunch of kudos to Andrew Yang saying what we've been saying for 4 or 5 years. I know you're new to politics and you didn't know people talk that way, but we've been talking that way. And we got censored for it. We got our channels shut down or limited for years saying the same things he says on the campaign trail. For years. All of them. That's just a gratuitous note. I just want you guys to know we've been up on game, that's all. But yeah, I still like hearing Andrew Yang say it because it's true. And yes, it's going to score points. And yeah, but it's not enough. It's not enough because when we get out to the weeds and we start talking about the real problems in this country, Andrew Yang just keeps saying the same thing. And though I like the idea of giving people money, we need to give people institutions that work. We need to give people other mechanisms that work as well. If not, all you're really doing is giving money to the landlords. Hey, get that money to the landlord. Hey, get the money to the landlord. One sickness away from living on the street will not change because you got $1,000 last month. Come try to spend that where I'm at, in Maryland. But anyway, the point is, Andrew Yang has already exceeded expectations. I've already said that. There was one part, and this is probably the most pissed off, the most angry, the part of the show, of the debate. I called it a show, but it seemed like a show. The part of the show that got me the most pissed off was they actually asked us a question about Hillary Clinton. I mean, they actually took up our damn time asking the candidates what they thought about something Hillary Clinton said. Listen, guys, Hillary ain't running. There is no reason why our politics need be focused around Hillary Clinton for that long. If we take that long to discuss her as a presidential candidate, a presidential debate for a nomination she ain't running in, we've taken that much longer than we should have. So I was very glad to hear Amy Klobuchar breeze past it. It was really nice because, the question was about Bernie. Well, Hillary Clinton said that she didn't like Bernie and Bernie didn't get anything done. So, Amy Klobuchar, what do you think about that? And I'm so glad Amy Klobuchar. I'm so glad that Amy Klobuchar took the high road and ignored this BS so we can get back to business. Because no one cares what Hillary Clinton thinks. But I would like to note, when Amy Klobuchar is taking her little bow about working with Bernie on trying to reduce the cost of pharmaceuticals, please note that when the rubber met the road and it was time to vote, Amy went with the Republicans. Yeah, like she leaves that part out. And I think Bernie has decided not to push the issue. Yeah. He's decided maybe it's not a hill to die on because a lot of the, Democrats who want to call him a misogynist or make up a way to make it wrong for him to call out Amy for pretending that she supported him, that she really was a fighter for progressive policies when she wasn't. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there because every debate, Amy finds a way to cozy up to Bernie. Hey, I'm Amy, and by the way, from Minnesota, and my dad's a drunk, and she does that. And Amy, me and Bernie worked together before, and he's a really good guy, but screw him. He can go to hell. Then she starts quivering the lip or whatever. Oh, but we have to, and we got to fight for it. She starts doing all that shit, and it skips over the part where she threw us all under the bus and sided with the Republicans. That's the part she leaves out. This is one of the reasons why Amy Klobuchar, she famously says she's won in red states. That's because she's part red. She's purple. That's the real reason. So anyway. But thank you for not giving Hillary the time of day. Okay. Buttigieg talked about a policy. Someone brought it up about policy about decriminalizing all drugs. And I think Pete has it mislabeled on his website because it looks like he's saying, we're going to decriminalize drugs. But what he's really saying is, he just won't prosecute you if they find you with some. Something like that's kind of weird. But you know how it is when they use the politispeak to give you the impression that their policy means one thing, but then when you start asking questions, it's scaled back significantly. Yeah, one of those weird fake outs. Trying to get us to fall for the okie doke. One of those things. So that became a sticking point. But once again, the people that say that Pete did so well, they act like that never happened. Never happened. What else? There was one part, Yang talked about drug treatment centers. Mandatory drug treatment centers. And if there's one part where Amy Klobuchar did a good job, it's when she stuck it to Yang about the drug treatment centers. All she said was, how you going to pay for them, Yang? How you going to pay for drug treatment centers? Now, I know we want to say we end the wars, but Yang didn't even say that. I don't remember if he even responded. Now, part of Yang not responding may not even be Yang. It could just been a moderator. But I thought it was pretty substantive and accurate for Amy to say, that sounds like a good idea, but how you going to pay for it? And then she had a list of ways to pay for some of her plans. The only problem was she talked so long, and at the end it just became self-congratulatory or patting herself on the back about who knows what, that you forgot what point she was trying to make. And Amy does that a lot. Yeah, everything Amy says leads back to Amy and why you should elect Amy. And you need to go to Amy's website. Amy, what time is it? Well, it's 6:32, and, the clock and the watch and the time and what I was working on the legislation, and I was the first, and I survived, and I got it done, and I've been to pass the legislation, and go to amyklobuchar.2020.com to give money. Okay. I would be remiss if I did not mention that Bernie Sanders had a hell of a night. Yeah, he had a hell of a night, Johnson. He didn't even need to have a hell of a night. In fact, if I'm Pete, I'm going, come on, Bert. Is it possible you could not have such a good night? Because I've never been a front runner before, and I'd really like to stay being a front runner. And in this current climate of front runnership, it'd be really great if a fresh young faced man with no hair anywhere on his body could become the front runner of a Democratic Party, even if I will not succeed, and even if Trump is somewhere chomping at the bit, hoping it's me, because he will easily dismantle me and put me in a suitcase and send me back to South Bend, Indiana. Please, Bernie, would you consider not winning tonight? And Bernie was like, I wrote the damn bill. I wrote the damn bill. Just get up. Get off my lawn. Get away. Oh, good. Go. Bye. Bernie kicked ass tonight. And I can't say he did anything particularly that was amazing. He's just hell of consistent. He's consistently going to tell you the same thing. He's going to triple down. And in a sea of people that sometimes, you get the little wavering of Elizabeth Warren, the politispeak, tangle web of Pete Buttigieg and the, I don't know what you call what Joe Biden's doing. I'm not sure what it is, but it's scary. Whatever it is, it's like something's not there. Like, it's there in moments. It's like where in some moments Joe Biden is right on point. You're like, damn, Joe's pretty good. Then out of nowhere, we take a trip to Funky Town. Woo-wee, Funky Town. And it's like, what is Joe? So Bernie Sanders doesn't have moments like that. It's like deliberate strikes. He looks at your chest and goes, I'm going to punch you in the chest. And you're like, you ain't going to punch me in the chest. I said I was going to punch you in the chest. And then later on, he looks at you, he's like, I'm going to punch you in the chest again. You're like, you already tried to do that. You punch me in the chest again. And it's like that the entire time. It's like nothing sneaky, nothing, it's no trickery. There's no gamesmanship. It's just straight line, real deal. And that's what I think people don't like about Bernie, is that they can't play the games with him. I find it impressive. I prefer it. Personally, I prefer it. I prefer realness, bluntness, to the point. What you going to do for me? What can I count on you for? What do you believe? What do you not believe in? Thank you. Good. Now I can go make my mind up. As opposed to, here goes nice words. Here goes something pretty to say. Here goes reasons why you should support my group or my kind of people, or people who look like me, or people who use the bathroom like me, or people who love like me, or people who come from this region, or whatever the hell. These people, like Pete's running on, he's from the Midwest. Amy's running on, she's from the Midwest, plus she's a woman, and she's short. And Elizabeth Warren's running on, she wanted to be a teacher, and she's a woman. And Biden's running on, he used to be able to think and talk like in a way that made sense, even though he was sort of bigoted. Like, they're all running on these things, and Bernie's the only one like running on like, look, I have a vision for America. I have a vision for how this country could be better. And we keep saying we need to get the money out of politics. We need to take back our country from the corporations and the billionaires. It's straight line. It's like it's the same answer. And whether you think that's sexy or cool or whatever, at least you know what his intentions are. That to me is relieving. It's a relief to know. Like, dude, look, can I count on? There's 5 guys waiting outside to kick our ass. Well, I'll help you with 2 of them. Okay, I know. I got to be able to knock out 3 guys, or we need to get us another couple guys. But the last thing you want to do is get the guy that says, I can take 4 of them. You're like, 4 of them? And you get out there and he runs. How is it hard to understand which person you'd rather have on your team? And that, my friends, is what this election, this nomination, has been coming down for us. And as much as they want to paint us as idealizing Bernie Sanders or code of personality or any of this other garbage that they like to use to discredit us, that's really all it is. And it's not our fault, nor should we apologize for not being attracted to folks who cannot be deliberate, very plain spoken about what they're trying to accomplish. Okay. There was a conversation about guns that Joe Biden tried to hit Bernie on because Bernie hit him so many times on so many things. He's like, Bernie voted against the Brady bill or something. And, I had this conversation when I had Ben & Jerry's. I had Ben on the show, Ben Cohen on the show, the co-founder of Ben & Jerry's. Vermont is not Maryland. Vermont is not New Jersey. Vermont is the people of Vermont is who Bernie has represented when he was in Congress. And they didn't have gun laws like we have gun laws. It's rural. They hunt squirrel and moose or whatever. And it's different. I know it's so disingenuous because I know Delaware, where Biden's from, it's like an hour for me, right? And I'm 20 minutes outside of D.C. now. But I grew up 2 minutes outside of D.C. and was born in D.C. Delaware is not far away, 45 minutes. Yo, where Joe Biden served his state, totally different than Vermont. He knows that. He knows the culture's different. He knows in the schools, they had gun classes in Vermont. Like Vermont, the cultures across this country are vastly different from state to state, particularly region to region. I like the fact that Bernie Sanders didn't waste a whole lot of time trying to explain. If people are that dense and they don't understand, I think most voters get it. I think they get it that there's different Americas, depending on where you are, which necessitate different rules or different laws. But Bernie concedes that back in 1984, things were different in Vermont than they are in 2020. And he would do it differently now because it's not 1984 anymore. Or 94. Or whatever it was. Okay. I guess it's Biden feel like he got to do something. But folks, it was not enough. It was not enough. There was one part, guys, before I do the wrap-up, there was one part. Because there's a lot of stuff said. This video could be 18 hours long. We got to get to phone lines. I will say this. There was a part where the one of the moderators, I think her name is Stacy, she asked Pete Buttigieg about black incarceration levels in South Bend, Indiana. And she said, hey, Pete, when you were mayor of South Bend, Indiana, incarceration rate went up. It went up over you. Under you, it went up. And Pete's like, no, it didn't. It went down. She's like, no, Pete, it went up. Why did it go up? Pete's like, but no, it went down. He's like, no, Pete, it went up. We want to know why. When you came in 2012, it was one way. When you were still there in 2018, the last year that we had data, it was still up. Then suddenly, Pete remembers we had a gang problem and we had to lock up the blacks, We had to do that because we had so many people just dropping like flies in the black community. So in order to save the blacks, we just threw them in jail. Aunt B. It's the only thing we could do with the blacks is lock them up. And it just harkened back to Joe Biden. Yeah, it seemed like he took a page out the Joe Biden Mass Incarceration Handbook, 1994 edition. But the difference is, at least Joe Biden could say, hey, that was 1993 or whatever. And it was different. And the black pastors was like, please, Joe, lock up the black kids. Well, aren't those your kids? Yeah, but I can't do nothing with them, Joe. Lock them up, please. I'm trying to sell my vacuum cleaners, and we can't sell vacuum cleaners in 8-track tape decks or whatever, or CD-ROM cassettes, or we can't do our business because they keep shooting at the store. And Biden was like, oh, well, guess we got to do it then because I'd rather not do it because, rather not just throw the black people away like that. But, hey, if you say it's the right thing to do, well, then I'll give every black person 100 years for a little bit of weed and give them 20 times the amount of time we give a white kid for a piece of cocaine, the same amount of crack. But if that's what you want, I guess I'll have to do it. You're twisting my arm making me do this. I know it's wrong to do. And the point is that Pete Buttigieg had no problem in the mid-2000s, guys. We're talking, look, when I hit Amy Klobuchar, Kamala Harris, and Pete Buttigieg, I'm not hitting them for things they did in 2000, or 1998, though that would be reasonable and logical and fair game. This is politics. The best indicator of future activity is past activity. But when I criticize Pete, and Kamala and Amy Klobuchar, it's about things they did not that long ago. Pete governed South Bend with the same mentality of lock the blacks up and get rid of them that Joe Biden had back in the 90s. And this guy thinks he can be the nominee for the Democratic Party. And I'm going to tell you this, guys. I'm dead against it. I will fight against it every step of the way. I have no problem with you being a law and order candidate, but I think you should do so in the Republican Party. That's the party of law and order. And I'm tired of fake Democrats pretending to care when they really don't. And all they do is do the same things Republicans would do. And the only difference is they're doing it with a D on their shirt instead of an R on their shirt. Now, all of this happened right here on this debate. He was caught lying. 3 redirects to get him to admit he was full of shit. And then still, we got screw-ups, we got scumbags and screwballs who looked at this debate and said, Pete did well. He got caught a liar on national TV with the group of people that he is famously doing bad with on an issue of incarceration. And they still said Pete did well. Folks, I don't know what alternative universe they live in, but that universe revolves around Pete. All right. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. Come back. I'll give you the winners, losers, and who needs to go right after this. Oh, there you go. My name is Sim Black. You're now tuned in. All right, guys, so the phone number is 319-527-6212. If you're not lined up in the queue, you should get in there now because this is going to be quick. This is going to be to the point. Quick and to the point. Closing statements were uneventful for the most part, but I will say that there were a couple standouts in the closing arguments section. I thought that I thought that Joe Biden actually had a decent closer because he talked about being a single dad. And I think that resonates, and that's something that I don't hear much people talk about. And yes, I know it's, it's a personal story, but that's what your closer should be, somehow relate to your own story. But it's hard not to feel a connection to a person who articulates what it was like to lose his wife and be a single dad and get help from his sisters in order to raise his children, and then he talked a little bit about that. So I thought that was effective. And then also in closers, I thought Bernie Sanders' closer was strong because it wasn't about him at all. Totally opposite of Joe Biden. It was all about what these policies will mean for people's lives. The Medicare for all, the job programs, the cleaning up of the environment, the Green New Deal, what these things will mean for voters and how this translates. So I thought that was good. On the bad side, once again, Klobuchar went with a personal story, but it was different. The Voice was doing the fake quiver thing. I can't stand the fake quiver thing. I got a problem with that. It says she has a record of fighting for the people. Stay there. Don't go to the quiver voice. Don't sound like you're about to break down. This is unnecessary. I feel like I'm being manipulated. Buttigieg, leave the he kept saying leave the policies of the past in the past and the politics of the past in the past. Yeah, he should have thought about doing that when he was the mayor of South Bend with no blacks in his administration. That's the politics of the past. So it's just words with Mayor Pete. So here we are, guys. 7 candidates, winners and losers. Winners, losers, and go-homers. Okay, so who should go home? How do we start this? What's the best way to do it? Okay, so who should go home? Let's start with that, because it's hard to say. Who should go home? I think that Joe Biden should go home. I think tonight Joe Biden is in 2 columns. He's in a I'm a loser column, and he's in the he should go home column. Look, guys, Joe Biden has consistently underperformed. He was in a position. He had more advantage than anyone else coming into the Democratic nomination process of 2020. This was the guy who just finished serving out 2 terms under a popular first black president. And he can come, somehow he snatches failure from the jaws of victory. Somehow he's unable to seal the deal and even do respectively in places like Iowa and once again New Hampshire now, going into New Hampshire. I do not believe that Joe Biden performed well tonight. I think that Joe Biden did not pull Joe Biden out of the dirt, so to speak. So I think I'm not going to say he's a goner. I'll say he was a loser. But I think this losing tonight will put him in the goner column, if that makes sense. I thought who had a good night tonight? I think Bernie Sanders had a good night tonight. He's the most consistent, most stable politician in this race. If you don't believe me, just look at his stats. He's the most stable of all the candidates. There's very little ebb and flow with Bernie Sanders, especially post-heart surgery. And even before then, he was pretty stable. And now he's been going the right direction ever since. And tonight was no different. He did a great job. Very much on point, very much on brand, being who he is. And I thought he did very well. Mayor Pete, disappointing. I think if you're a Mayor Pete supporter, you may see this a little differently because there was no knockout blow. But I feel like in order for Pete to be viable beyond the very whitest of white states like Iowa, like New Hampshire, he's going to have to do well with Latinos and blacks. And tonight, where did he take the biggest hit? With Latinos and blacks. And it just so happens to be a black moderator questioning him about mass incarceration, and he suddenly forgot about what happened, or what the remedy was, or what the solution was, or what his thought process was. And he has not that far removed from the position of mayor in South Bend. I mean, he just stopped being the mayor a month ago. And he can't remember his policies? So winners tonight, Bernie Sanders, thought he did well. I will go ahead and submit that maybe Amy Klobuchar did not do as well as some people are saying, but I think that she did enough to take votes away from Joe Biden. That I will give you. I think she did enough to take votes away from Joe Biden. Do I think she does enough to move from 5th place to 3rd place? I don't think she did, Johnson. She did not have a crushing, amazing superstar performance. But it was a winning performance that may enable her to last a little bit longer in New Hampshire. But I can't see her moving past 3rd place or above 3rd place. And wouldn't that be a real win? Okay, so the losers of the night, I think I stated those. And I want to also add another win in this column. And I've been thinking about this. It's not about who I think is going to win the nomination, but who I thought did a great job, who I think overperformed tonight in this particular debate. So please, keep that in mind. I'm not talking about who's going to become the nominee. I'm talking about in this performance tonight, who did great, who overperformed. I think you got to give it up for Tom Steyer. I think Tom Steyer was one of the most consistent. He was right there the entire time. I don't know if he's pandering to black folks, but just his ability to bring up black issues puts him in the running for doing well. And then he was consistently talking about, hey, we don't just need to sit around and down talk Trump. We need to talk about what our solutions are going to be like and how we're going to economically benefit. And when you look at the top 3 things that matter to voters, healthcare, economics, and immigration. Those are your top 3. Healthcare, economics, immigration. Tom Steyer is the one saying we need to focus on economics. Makes sense to me. So there you go. My winners, Bernie, Steyer, and to a lesser degree, Amy Klobuchar. Losers, Biden, Pete Buttigieg, Andrew Yang sort of in the middle. And that will make you a loser as well. But like I said, he's exceeded expectations up to this point. I don't feel comfortable calling him a loser because he's on stage with seasoned politicians and a billionaire. Wait, what can I say bad about that? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's like, you know? All right. So that's all I got for this. Now let's go to the phone lines. 319-527-6212. The God of who should get out of the race? Joe Biden should get out of the race. There's no way that he is going to bounce back far enough in order to take this thing. Oh, and by the way, guys, don't just take it from me. Take it from Joe Biden. His first statement of the night was what? I probably won't do well tonight. I didn't do well in Iowa. We probably won't do well in New Hampshire, but we're going to keep going. That was his opening statement. Now, there was a show called Mad TV with Ari Spears, and there was a segment on there called Lowered Expectations. If you come out to a debate and the first thing you say is, I'm going to suck, I'm going to stink up the place, that's the lowest of expectations imaginable, and that's probably not a good game plan for somebody who actually wants to win. It's definitely not a good game plan or strategy for someone who wants to ask other people for money. All right, so let's go, guys. Thank you for hanging in. My name is Real Tim Black. Become a member of the Wolfpack here or on Patreon, Tim's Take Live, patreon.com, Tim's Take Live, and also text the word cornbread to the code 21000 to become a member of my text VIP list.